Hello and welcome to Network. My name is Phumelele Zondi with your technology and social media news. SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. News Network at sabc.co.za on email. Today I'm at GovTech in Durban. It's a massive government technology expo and conference. I'll tell you more about it later in the program. Firstly, here's what our Twitter poll is all about this week. It's asking you about that shipment of chips that there will be further restrictions on to China, especially by the American government. We're asking you if that's affected any of your buying of technology goods. We'll have details on that later in the program. Here's what's coming up in this particular program. We tell you more about what's going on here at GovTech. We go to George, where the SEDNEC conference took place recently, and our conversation looks at communication technologies with the Centec. As with a lot of things in technology, the challenge sometimes is how to localize some of the solutions that are found for the problems that emerge out of South Africa, and training or the shortage of it is often a big issue that needs to be resolved as well. Out of all sectors, different aspects of the technology industry did really well during COVID-19 lockdowns. While that was the case, many realized that their security systems were not foolproof. Parastatal Transnet suffered a data breach which blocked cargo from leaving and entering South Africa for about a day or two. Goods couldn't move inland as well. There are government departments that reported the same. The financial sector was also affected. Some of those on show here say they have solutions.
We are moving into an automated government service environment, and when we do that, we must also go back, because your records, for instance, as Naledi, it must be traced on who's your mother, where's your birth certificate. So those were done in paper, so we must then convert that, which is the digitization, and that's the work we're doing. And for us, it's important that we do that because the economy is going digital, so government cannot be stuck, but it's more efficient. Imagine if you could get to your information on Home Affairs in less than 5 minutes on your device. It would be much quicker for everybody.
We then understand the competency and the mandate of government, and then our task is really to be able to enable it. So you heard the ministers talking about how government wants to digitize by the end of 2024. So our really mandate then thereof is to look at government and say, what does government digitization look like? What does the change look like? And how does our platform support it?
In their Africa Cybersecurity Outlook for 2022, KPMG says 75% of companies encounter challenges in recruiting and retaining qualified cyber professionals. The Africa Technology Academy says they're here to make sure that people are trained adequately for this.
And kids only see robots on a picture over the internet. So I took this initiative and said, I need to inspire more people. I need these kids to understand that 4IR is not all about talking, but it's possible for a robot to be built. And then by building these, I feel like I've inspired a lot of people in the tech space to give time as well, and for people to get a better understanding of where we're heading to in terms of 4IR.
They've even brought a humanoid robot they've created to prove that they're the right people to upskill local youth. They say they now want public participation in naming their robot.
So being the first humanoid robot built in the country, so we'll kindly ask in South Africa to name this gentleman, give this gentleman a name, because the first time the gentleman actually gave a talk, he said the system at Home Affairs was offline, so it could not get a name. So now the system is working. So now you want to go to Home Affairs and get a name. So we'd like you all to visit our website, astechnology.co.za, and get and go on the application form and suggest a name. And then we'll get the public to vote, and then we'll name this gentleman after that person.
Apart from tech-related qualifications, many often struggle with a certification to provide certain services. Sometimes there's a lack of knowledge of where to go. Into IT is here to provide some of that information to local youth. They say it's work they won't stop doing at GovTech.
Today is just the exposure, so we're telling them different certifications and the importance of the certification, because currently they don't know the importance of certification. So today is just a workshop to unpack what is certifications, what is the importance of the certification.
By allowing the tech space to showcase its goods to government, municipalities and others that are here, it would seem evident that those in power know that they need massive help. As South Africa moves ahead with planned smart cities, security will have to be top of mind. Tech companies here at GovTech in Durban say the trick is tailor-making solutions for whether it's municipalities, governments, parastatals, and others.
Most important thing, remember, government services are meant to service delivery and to improve the service delivery. So what we do, I mean, again, this is what we're learning for years in Microsoft now. We are focusing, saying, what does our client do?
This year, the government also invited leaders from other parts of the African continent, so they too can identify tech solutions from here when they digitize their systems back home. Smart cities, data centers and cloud solutions are just some of the topics that are being discussed here at GovTech. There are also a lot of tech startups that are showcasing what they do as well.
I'm Happy Satana. I'm the founder and innovator of Let's Talk, a customer care service delivery app. Yeah, so the platform is a customer care based, so it enables communities to be able to engage with the municipalities. So from raising incidents from disaster management to water services, outages of electricity, and also the municipality is able to educate communities about the turnaround time of service delivery, so how long it takes for them to respond to an incident. They're able to manage the communication feedback.
My name is Weliban Zinkonyane. I'm a CTO at SSS Systems, also known as SSS Systems. We offer integrated management systems. Integrated meaning that we offer a super system that integrates all the operations of the organization, like your finance, your HR, your client management, your stock management, and business analytics as well of the whole organization.
I am Tsirofatso Mashoko from ACGG Technology, a company based in the Northern Cape Province under Kimberley, the city. And we are in the space of information communication technology. What our company does, it does your photocopy machine rentals. We know that on a day-to-day, government does your printing, does your photocopying of documents, which needs to be dispatched to citizens of its own.
You know, thinking about raising funding is a very critical moment, because from inception in 2018, you know, I've been looking around, searching, applying here and there. Difficult to get funding without a prototype, without a working solution. So I had to look outside the country. So we actually looked at a global outcall. So we had an opportunity to look at the UNDP, who's actually funded the project from inception, version 1. We're currently on version 3 of the app.
Our clientele for now are small to medium enterprises that manage stock and as well as people, and also that want to analyze their businesses.
During COVID, yes, we had difficulty because of, you must understand, it's not all service providers that would be in that space by that time. And it's not all your government officials will be in office at that particular time. So it was a challenge for us to reach your government officials because they were working with a schedule.
The Southern African Networks and Applications Conference took place in George recently. Let's leave GovTech now just for a little while to find out what was taking place in George at SADNEC.
I think it's an opportunity for us to do a couple of things. One, to showcase the young students and give them a chance and an audience to present to industries. I think secondly, for us to really craft policy issues around where we want to take the industry.
So we have gotten into a partnership with the mobile operators through their social obligations that we will also participate in the rollout of broadband infrastructure to connect our community. So the plan is that in the next 3 years, we would like to connect about 80% of South Africans, even those who are in the far-flung areas of our country. We would like them to be connected
But our focus, for example, we're now doing a pilot in Umlazi, where we're testing 5G in schools, clinic, hospital, and a police station. So we've picked an area where we're going to roll out 5G there and show how 5G can really help for people who do not have access to connectivity.
It's SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. News Network at sabc.co.za on email. After the break, we chat to Kopano Taka, who we met here at GovTech, and we chat really about how the digital divide can be closed and how the release of spectrum because of that digital migration is going to help in all of that. SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. News Network at sabc.co.za on email. Welcome back. Now, communications is a huge part of how things are done, especially in this digital era, because we do need to connect via our digital devices, but also we need to consume content. And people who've played a huge role in that space is SABC. But they, like other organizations, need to evolve, especially in this digital era. To tell us a bit about that evolution, we are meeting up with Kopano Taka, who is the marketing head at SABC. We found him here at GovTech. Hello, and thank you very much for being a part of our network. Maybe we can explain the evolution of SABC and how it's changing, especially in this digital era when it affects those that need to consume the content that's provided by broadcasters, for example.
Look, thanks for your question. I think SABC as a start, it's a communication service provider which is very passionate about building digital infrastructure that enables content delivery as well as broadband communication, right? So at SABC, how we really empower our people in communities and everywhere is that we provide you firstly the content that you receive from any broadcaster, commercial, public, community, right? As well as what we have is then we deliver the content that they provide to viewers throughout the country, both terrestrial and on satellite as well. What we also have is we have strategic infrastructure, which is managed network infrastructure portfolio of high sites, which then provide connectivity for the likes of car tracking companies or ISPs that wants to reach out to communities to provide them with the required network, as well as broadband infrastructure, both from a wireless perspective as well as wired connectivity that we enable then our communities to be able to have access to internet and access to digital content.
Kopano, the big discussion that a lot of people have been having of late is that of the digital migration of television. What does that actually mean?
Look, the biggest, I think, talking points around digital migration is the impact that it has to the communities, right? You think about it that we moved from an era where TV programming was, between hours, right? You remember that the ball that, used to have a sound, and then it moved there from about having 3 channels, right? Then it was 4 with the free-to-air channels. But now, because of the efficiency that digital provides to spectrum utilization, is that you're able to even have close to about 20 channels, right? With digital high quality, high definition channels that are available for viewers out there. Because before then you didn't have that much of a choice. So now what we're seeing is that with that given better choice in terms of content that is delivered, communities are able to have channels that are dedicated either to sports, either to news, either to healthcare services, as well as education, which is one of the beneficial that we want our communities to have. Whether you're sitting in a rural area, once you switch on your television and you're able to receive educational content that will inform you and educate you, and then that's so that we're trying to bridge the digital divide amongst those that can afford and those that can't.
And when we talk about the movement and moving spectrum, how far along are we with that process and what is it going to open us up to?
So it's because of the efficiency. So as you have it is that analog spectrum, it was quite bulky and each channel was occupying a certain section of the spectrum, right? Now with digital, what you have is that you can have a number of channels within a specified spectrum, what we call a single frequency network. So within one frequency, you're able to have about 20 or 10 channels, right? Whereas before, in the analog environment, one frequency was occupying about a chunk of spectrum. So it was not allowing us to have multiple high-definition channels, all right, for our viewers out there. So the efficiency there, spectrum utilization is much better. The equipment that is used to deliver the content as well, from a transmission perspective, you find that it's now reduced, right? I think back in the days, one of our transmitter sites for one channel could be about, 3 or 4 squares on the floor space. But now you're having that within one rack unit that you can have multiple 3 or 4 or 5 services in it. So that's the efficiency of utilizing spectrum, both from a power perspective as well as from a scarce resource utilization perspective.
In the end, how does all this impact on communities, especially rural communities, which are still a huge part of our country?
So as SANTech, we are delivering then the content to the people. So what you have is, as you prepare for work on each and every day that you do, you are interacting with a SANTech customer, what we deliver content, be it on the radio, be it on television. As you commute towards your destination, the radio in the car, the mobility that we provide when you get home, as well as now connectivity of schools. Those are some of the areas that we're enabling to ensure that we bridge the digital divide and we educate those that cannot afford.
Kopano, you touch on important issues of the digital divide, and we saw that especially with the COVID-19 pandemic, as it was really laid bare. What needs to be done in order to close that gap?
So what we started, at least the biggest issue with the digital divide was around access before, right? Those that could afford would have the means, those that couldn't didn't have. So had a separation of literacy and power there. So now that a lot has been done about access, right? We have now, as part of the auction, some of the obligations of the MNOs is to start connecting the unconnected, right? As SANTech, as you have us also, we've been working closely towards building smart communities and connecting them. So we are getting so far with the access, right? But I think what we need to do then going forward is how do we start enabling now usage on this vast network? What we still want to see being done is that while a lot of people are still getting access and using it for things that are not economic driven, what we want to see is then let's start creating use cases for people not only to go on social media for TikTok, for entertainment, but let's start having people now starting to drive some of the digital economy using the means of connectivity to try and deliver a better lifestyle for all of us.
All right, Kopano Take, thank you very much for being a part of our network. And it's SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Kopano Take there is the marketing head at SANTech. When we come back, we will be finding out more about what's happening in the tech space in the rest of the world outside GovTech. SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. News network at sabc.co.za. On email, here's what else took place in the technology space in the rest of the world.
Alphabet unit Google on September 14th suffered its second setback in less than a year as Europe's top court agreed with EU antitrust regulators that it had abused its dominance but trimmed the fine by 5% because of a disagreement on one point. Google lost its challenge to a 2.42 billion euros fine last year, the first of a trio of cases. And now in the Netherlands. The sporty all-electric car from the Netherlands resembles a BMW coupe, but is unique. It captures more carbon than it emits.
As far as we know, this behind me is the world's most sustainable car at the moment. It's called ZEM, and ZEM stands for Zero Emission Mobility. This car was made with the goal to minimize the CO2 emitted during the manufacturing phase, the life phase, and the end-of-life phase. The slogan or the main phrase, catchphrase with this car is it captures more carbon than it emits. In the front, it has 2 carbon filters, which filter literally the air while you drive along, capturing the carbon which gets trapped in the filters.
The students are showing their vehicles on a US promotional tour to universities and companies from the East Coast to Silicon Valley. and now in the USA. What would you say at your own funeral? Thanks to AI-powered technology, it is now possible to ask questions to someone who has passed away. 87-year-old Marina Smith died in June, but thanks to Storyfile Live, an AI tool developed by her son and his wife, her family can still hear her thoughts on any questions they may have.
So what I think about is, how can we be better ancestors? How can we tell our story? Because each of our stories of our lives is important to those that follow us. It's interesting for them, actually. It may not be that interesting for us to reflect on our lives, but for them, when they come to us 50 years, 100 years from now, and you're the great-great-great-grandparent of this person who wants to know who you are, where you came from, what you believe, what you did with your life.
The original idea was to allow interactions with people with notable histories like 9/11 survivors or civil rights leaders. Now anyone can upload their answers for a once-off fee.
There are reports that are suggesting that the Joe Biden administration in America wants to increase those restrictions of chipsets to China. This week, our Twitter poll is asking you if you've ever been affected by any of this, especially when you're buying a new car, gadgets, or any other technology for that matter. And that's it. That's all we have for you. Find us on SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. News Network at sabc.co.za and email. From me, it's Pumele Lezondi and the rest of the team are right here at GovTech in Durban. Have a good one. Bye-bye.